one portrait that was a prominent display in his apartment was of Mahatma Gandhi, and he read many books of Mahatma Gandhi. Karl Marx was another thinker and philosopher that he read quite a lot about, apart from many other books and people that he read about from many different disciplines. But Karl Marx and Mahatma Gandhi were influenced him in a very unique way.
Okay, my name is Shamnad Basheer. I'm a professor of law at the National University of Juridical Sciences. The IDIA program was conceptualized several years back, actually.
Shamnad Basheer was a visionary whose impact was felt beyond the realm of law. It touched the lives of countless aspiring minds. His story is one that deserves to be told and remembered. He spent his schooling years at the Laidlaw Memorial School and Junior College, Ketty, St. Thomas Residential School, Trivandrum, and Cliff School, Ooty. An alumnus of the National Law School of India University and University of Oxford, his academic journey was driven by a deeper purpose: to make the law more accessible, inclusive, and equitable for all.
Shamnad and I were in law school together. Although we were 5 years apart, we were not friends in law school. We knew each other. We knew we existed in the same campus. But we met, I think 5 or 6 years after we both graduated from law school. I met him on a plane he was coming from Delhi to Bangalore, and he was traveling on Praveen Anand's ticket. Those days you could do all these things. Shamnad had just come back from the US. So he had long hair, long beard. He was almost unrecognizable. So when I saw Praveen Anand on the ticket, I even hesitated to ask whether it was Shamnad, because the boarding pass had Praveen Anand, and here is a long-haired Shamnad Basheer sitting right next to me. On that plane, we started speaking about legal education, the future of legal education in India, how are law schools in the US when compared to law schools in India, what is the composition of law schools currently in India. When we were in law school, we had a healthy mix of students. Students came from different geographies, different social backgrounds, and we both somewhere agreed saying that the law school composition in the newer law schools is becoming kind of homogeneous. So we said, is there a way we can change it? Somewhat, the founding ideas of IDIA came from that conversation.
Recognizing the gap was just the first step. The real challenge was bridging it, transforming the system at its core, and driving meaningful, lasting change.
If you ask me what's the fundamental idea behind the project, it goes back to an age-old saying or an age-old aphorism which says, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. And that's the entire idea behind IDIA. IDIA, as you know, is increasing diversity by increasing access to legal education, and the underlying aim is to increase access to legal education to a number of underprivileged students, to a number of students from underprivileged communities that are not often represented in the premier law schools.
83% of the students hailed from families with incomes above 3 lakhs, and more than 50% of the students had a family income of more than 7 lakhs. Second, it is language-based. 97% of the students studied class 12 in English medium schools. Almost 90% of the surveyed students had fathers who knew English very proficiently, and 70% of their mothers were fluent in English. Third, it was region-based. In the 2018 batch of the National Law Schools, there's been almost no student from Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Goa, Chhattisgarh, Manipur, Mizoram, or Tripura. 80% of your students have an urban orientation. So 80% of your students come from purely urban areas. Injustice is not confined to the urban areas in India. It's predominantly rural.
Shamnad noticed the unnoticed and helped shine the light on the ones who were forgotten. He dedicated his work and life to ensuring access and opportunities to those who dreamed. Shamnad aimed for diversity in legal education. His efforts opened doors for hundreds of students who might never have had the chance.
IDEA for him was one of his children, like a brainchild. And the best way to describe IDEA is to think about an analogy that Shamnad used to often reference or bring it up. He said, Manju, look at how the lotuses grow. You have these lotuses that grow in muddy waters, and there's hardly any attention. Nobody, is caring for them. But with little bit of sunshine and water, they actually blossom into something so beautiful that it warms the heart of every passerby.
Shamnad was the heart of IDEA and is still the heart of IDEA in many aspects. I always used to tell him that he's the soul and I am the hands and legs, because it was his deepest passion to bring students from rural India, students from abject poverty into law schools. It was my job to ensure that they get into law schools. That's how we worked at IDEA.
He believed that true equal representation was not simply providing education to the underprivileged, it also meant exposing those from privileged backgrounds to the diverse realities of society, encouraging understanding, empathy, and meaningful change.
The IDEA Law School is one that will charge per value, but will also have enough opportunities for low-income students to come in through scholarships and the others, so that you retain a diverse population of students. You see, if the students are all from one income bracket, they're all going to be thinking the same way. You're going to get a homogeneous set of students and a kind of a groupthink. So for legal education itself and for bringing more richness to legal education, I think it's important to get a variety of perspectives, particularly in a country like India, which is so diverse by itself. And you need to see that diversity reflected in the classroom, particularly in law, because law is about society, law is about social change, law is about all these things.
He tried to make the playing field fair by helping and supporting students who were held back by financial constraints.
My family was going through a deep financial crisis. We had to relocate from UAE to India because of it. So college was not a very clear option, but I still wanted to do law. So I enrolled in a coaching institute and I studied over there. I got rank 503 and I was introduced to IDIA through the coaching institute because I told the teacher there that I can't afford law school even if I get in.
The other bottleneck is the huge fees charged by the law schools, and that's a huge financial burden on most parents whose children are studying at these national law schools. There are bank loans that are available, but even bank loans require collateral, and bank loans also limit the number of career options you have after you graduate, because you'd want to get into a high-paying job.
So then with the rank 503, I got into Nuals Kochi. In a week or two, I got a message through Shamnad sir and the team's effort. They could find a donor for me. So I was kind of like the second person to ever come to Nuals Kochi under IDIA's banner. So that was when my interaction or my journey with IDIA and Shamnad sir started.
So while bank loans are good, there are still serious limitations. And a bank loan will provide only for tuition. It may not provide a stipend for living expenses. And with most of the children coming in, and with most of the law schools situated in cities, Bangalore or Hyderabad or Calcutta, students need to be able to spend some money be able to get some money as stipendary expenses and they also need to mesh well with the mainstream crowd. They can't come in and not do some of the things that the mainstream students from urban areas do. They need to go out at least once in a while.
When I started mooting in my second year, I ended up with rank 3 in the college, so I could do international moots. But it was like my first time doing all of it, and I was really afraid of how to go about it. So I wrote to Shamnad sir. So what he did was he quickly wrote an email to one of his former students whom he remembered was great at mooting. And that former student responded to me in that same email chain and helped me without any further email reminders or anything.
So we factored all that in, and we're going to donors, asking them to institute specific scholarships that would give these children some stipendary money for their expenses so that they don't feel left out.
Through IDIA, Shamnad enabled students to receive an education but also sought to help them gain hands-on experience, encouraging them to develop an individualistic perspective. And he left no stone unturned to do this.
One day, the day didn't start off well for Shamnad. He was running fever, he wasn't feeling great. But he had to go meet a prospective donor for IDEA, and that person was south of the airport. Shamnad, even though he wasn't feeling good that day, he drove to him, made a presentation. And, Shamnad never heard back from this person again. Sometimes you think, Shamnad, with all his academic training and his brilliant mind and all his credentials, he could have been making the top bucks. He could have been one of the highest paid lawyers, but he chose a path where he wanted to make a difference. And he strongly believed that a group of altruistic ideas and individuals would always triumph over selfish ideology. And that's one of the reasons why he put his heart and soul into IDEA, and making sure that he can find more and more lotuses from these muddy waters.
If a student is really interested in doing law, and let there be whatever barriers that come across because of their life situations, it can be a physical barrier, it can be an economic barrier, a social barrier, IDIA will step in and try to break it off and help the student overcome that and get through law school.
Shamnad was futuristic and truly a visionary scholar. Let me give you an example during the initial days of IDEA. During our first boot camp, Shamnad stressed on the art of storytelling as an exercise that our scholars have to learn. Most critiqued what was the need for storytelling, why can't they learn the law, why can't they learn English? But Shamnad stressed on it, saying the art of advocacy, the art of being a good lawyer is about to tell a good story. We didn't realize it till much later that was one of the most important traits IDEA scholars imbibed in themselves. Isn't life also about telling a good story? None of us could comprehend what Shamnad was teaching at that stage. But today, we hear boot camps after boot camps about life being told as a story and how important that is.
Shamnad believed that law was not only about subject matter expertise, but also about the soft skills that distinguish the great from the exceptional. And he wanted to bring this opportunity of growth to those who had little to no access.
Shamnad, who would travel to rural schools and visit and interact with these young kids who were so bright, intelligent, ask such brilliant questions, realized, if they were to take the CLAT entrance exam today, they would never pass. And that deeply bothered Shamnad. And that frustrated and angered Shamnad. He said, just looking at that, how unfairly stacked up against these kids who, just because they did not go to a English medium school where they had many resources that many city or urban kids would go to, or let's say that a kid whose parents are highly educated, the kind of school that he or she would go to compared to a kid whose father is a driver or his father is a factory worker, and they're not able to go to the same kind of schools. And just because they cannot go to those schools, even though they're equally intelligent and smart, cannot get into the entrance, pass this entrance exam. That upset Shamnad.
In fact, India's villages hold some of the greatest minds. C.N.R. Rao, who is the principal scientific advisor to the Prime Minister of India, was known to have famously said that our Einsteins are in our villages. Right? We have to go out there and identify them. We have to just search, we have to look, we have to locate, and we have to make a conscious effort. They will not come by themselves because the barriers are too high. We have to break down the barriers and go and identify them, and bring them in. Or to translate it to an Indian context, our Palkiwalas, our Hidayatullahs, our Bakshis are in our villages. And it is our job to go and find them. So it's just a question of creating more awareness, sensitizing children, sensitizing law students to the fact that they are better off if these students come in, because they get a much more diverse student population. They get to see what the real India is like.
Over the years, as I visited Shamnad's flat in Cooktown, and yet there was still the same number of people in his house. People passing through, some people staying, Shamnad playing the role of mentor, supporter, caregiver, so many different roles that he played to these people who passed through his house. And my question to him was, Shamnad, you are the one who's not well. Why is it that you continue to do this when what you need is to be cared and looked after for? And Shamnad said something that stood with me, that has stood with me since, right? He said that this is just a home, but it's a home for everyone.
Shamnad influenced the course of so many people's lives so positively is nothing short of extraordinary.
When we started IDIA in 2009-2010, we were in one state and in one law school. A decade later, we are in 22 states. We've trained more than 1 lakh students from poorer communities towards the prospect of law. All this was possible because Shamnad was truly passionate and IDIA as a team was truly methodical. We've driven the length and breadth of India. We've done sensitizations in Baramulla to Kanyakumari, from Kutch to Aizawl. We have students from Sundarbans, the remote part of India, joining law schools today. All this is possible because of IDIA.
We're not just bringing in students into the law schools, into the premier law schools, getting them educated in a 5-year formalistic program and then saying, we've done our job. In fact, that's just the beginning. The larger picture is really that we continuously mentor, handhold, guide and support them to effectively take their place as community leaders.
Shamnad also learned along the way that access was not just about reaching people, but also about how this knowledge was reaching them. As he learned about physical disabilities, his efforts extended to making legal education more accessible for the visually impaired.
I had a very dear friend called Rahul Cherian, who worked a lot on disability issues. I've never dealt with issues of disability, and particularly, how we can use the law in order to help people that are differently abled. And Rahul sort of pulled me into it because it was an IP issue, and I was seen as the intellectual property expert then. So the Copyright Act that we have currently, if you're a visually impaired person, you cannot obviously read these books because it's in a physical format, and you can't see, and therefore it needs to be converted to either Braille or to a digital format, and the digital format is then through an audio, it's read out to you. But if you convert this book into any of these formats, you're actually guilty of copyright infringement. What Rahul and some of the activists, disability activists, wanted to do really was to create an exception within the Copyright Act to ensure that that is not an infringement. We managed to get the amendment through. In 2012, the government actually amended the act and brought in this clause that made it an exception for people to convert works into accessible formats for the disabled, and I think that was in many ways a real world impact. In fact, we documented the whole process, and in many ways it was a great eye opener for me.
When I am in 11th, I got through inspired by them. I wrote a screening test and I got selected. After that, IDIA gave a training. They allotted mentors and they trained us throughout the Mike Clut coaching. I interrupted in NLUG. After getting into law school, IDIA provided me the mentor support throughout my studies, and the mentors helped me by explaining the lessons, the complicated concepts, and by providing notes.
reached out to him to understand what our approach to justice should be. Not so much around IDIA in particular, but what, a philanthropy's approach to justice should be. And what I recall was, going to Shamnad once again with a question of law, but coming back with answers about what is society, who gets access to justice, what does equity mean, who is at the table and who is at which table. And I think in a way Shamnad was able to expand the idea of law and justice from being a system of law and justice to being a system of society. Who gets access to it? Who is denied this? And what is our role in ensuring more people from marginalized backgrounds get access both to law and justice, but also benefit from it? So in a way, Shamnad kind of reframed the idea of law and justice from being just about the courts or just about the law to being a fundamental building block for a better society.
Shamnad was considered an authority on IP rights in India, particularly in the world of medicine. Spicy IP, founded by him, was a widely respected blog that democratized legal discourse, making complex IP laws understandable to all.
You can look at his public interest litigation filings, particularly patent laws around prescription drugs, generic drugs that actually can be, everybody can purchase it, everybody can afford it for any diseases that are plaguing our world. So to make fair patent laws, that was one of the big things for him. But that was for him trying to bring public and social good so that even a lay person can understand that how patent laws have a direct impact on their lives. To be able to afford the medicine, whether it's for tuberculosis, whether it's for cancer, he wanted people to afford that medicine.
IP has been the main sort of core research interest for me for a large part. But within intellectual property, I sort of branched out more into what I call access issues. It had a twofold interest for me. One is I was, even as a child, I was very interested in creativity as a phenomenon. Right? And intellectual property rights is really how do you harness the creativity of society to generate more innovation, more creative products. How do you make it a better knowledge economy? And the second part was that you have to also be conscious of the fact that intellectual property cannot give too many rights and cut off knowledge areas from the public and give all those rights to one or two people, because that would again hurt the purpose of creating a robust knowledge economy. But to put it in a nutshell, the core area of my work is how do we build a more inclusive society using the tool of the law, because that's what I know best, and how do we build a more plural society?
Striking a balance between intellectual property rights and public access to knowledge, fostering collaborative and sustainable growth. Shamnad's deep commitment to helping others meant he would go to great lengths to support and uplift them. By building a strong, meaningful community around him, he was able to create a lasting and far-reaching impact.
Professor Basheer was a believer of all religion, and there was a Hanuman temple very close to NUJS. He used to go there and meditate. During this course, he met with an old couple and started financially helping them. One day we got a call from that old man, and he said that government of West Bengal is demolishing that slum. Immediately Professor Basheer took that up and informed me and also introduced me with a lawyer, and we moved to High Court and got a favorable order.
In his journey to do what was right for the society, Shamnad made connections for a lifetime. Across age groups and backgrounds, Shamnad had the ability to make everyone feel a sense of belonging and trust.
One trait that you can learn from Shamnad, and I always learned or tried to learn from him, he used to connect with everyone around you. If he came to your house, he came to your office, it's not just about meeting you. He would speak to the driver, he speak to the office boy or the cook with the same care as he would speak to me.
Shamnad's cook Basant's journey is a testament to his spirit of helping others.
तो उन्होंने मुझे पूछा कि कहाँ तक पढ़े हो, तो मैंने बोला सर 11वीं तक पढ़ा हूँ, घर में फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम था इसलिए जॉब के लिए इधर आ गया। तो सर ने मुझे उस टाइम LLB के लिए ऑफ़र किया। तो मैंने सर को बोला कि सर मेरा घर में थोड़ा फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम है, घर में पैसे भी भेजना पड़ता है, तो इसीलिए थोड़ा सोच रहा हूँ। तो सर ने बोला कोई टेंशन नहीं है, घर का तू टेंशन मत ले, मैं हूँ, जो भी फाइनेंशियल है तेरा सब कुछ मैं कर दूँगा, तू बस तू हाँ बोल दे। तो मैंने तुरंत उसी टाइम मैंने सर को हाँ बोल दिया। हाँ बोलने के बाद शमनाद सर और मैं साथ में रहने लगे। तो सर के साथ रहते रहते बहुत अच्छा रिलेशन हो गया। फादर की तरह प्यार करते थे और एक टीचर की तरह सिखाते थे कि क्या सही है क्या गलत है। शमनाद सर ने मुझे 11वीं में इवनिंग कॉलेज में ज्वाइन करा दिया। तो मैंने वहाँ 11th और 12th मैंने पास किया। उसके बाद मुझे बीकॉम के लिए कॉलेज में एडमिशन करा दिया। तो मैंने बीकॉम कंप्लीट किया, ग्रेजुएट हो गया। तो फिर मैंने अभी एक प्राइवेट कंपनी में जॉब कर रहा हूँ एज ए कैशियर डीमार्ट में।
Ability of Shamnad sir to actually remember your stories, remember what you're good at, and then connect you with somebody who needs you later on in life is what has set him aside from other people, is what I think.
ഞാൻ ഗൾഫിലൊക്കെ പോയി എനിക്ക് നിവർത്തിയില്ല വന്നപ്പോഴത്തെ എൻ്റെ മകളും പഠിച്ചു എനിക്ക് പഠിപ്പിക്കാൻ നിവർത്തിയില്ല. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഷംനാദ് ഏറ്റവും പഠിപ്പിക്കാനായിട്ട് ബാംഗ്ലൂർ കൊണ്ടുപോയി. കുട്ടി പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ബാംഗ്ലൂരിൽ.
Shamnad emphasized often, he would say, Manju, jurisprudence is only meaningful as long as it secures fairness, justice, and upholds individual rights.
I was working on a project for the betterment of contract laborers of NUJs, specifically security guards, cleaning staffs, and mess workers. So I was trying to, ensure their basic rights such as minimum wage, sick leave, and other facilities. Professor Basheer once called me through a security guard, and he saw my work so far, and he suggested me immensely. And he made sure that it gets implemented, and he fought with administration, and finally it got implemented. So I was very surprised, at the same point of time very grateful, because a lot of other admin people, when they were discouraging me, and Professor Basheer, then a man of his caliber, he got into this, and he genuinely felt for the cause, and finally got this implemented. So till date NUJS is following that, and people over there are still grateful for him, because of him they are still getting those benefits.
Shamnad went beyond simply facilitating access. He took on the deeply meaningful role of a mentor. He was a guiding force, helping people realize their full potential and turning ideas and initiatives into tangible impact. His support wasn't just about opportunity, it was about empowerment. His dedication, passion, and impactful work earned him widespread recognition and numerous awards.
When he won the Infosys award, the award carried a cash prize. Shamnad, before he even came to office, had already made plans of donating a large part of the Infosys prize, cash prize, to most of the people who asked for it. I had to coerce him to save up most of these funds. But when he passed away, I realized that all his money, or rather major portion of his money, he had donated to others. And a very small portion, I think he had given it to friends and family.
ಶಮ್ನಾದ್ ಸರ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಾನೇ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ನಾನು ಶಮ್ನಾದ್ ಸರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಒಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ, ಸರ್ ಈ ಪೇಮೆಂಟನ್ನ ನಾವು ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ಮನಿ ಪ್ರೈಸಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. ಶಮ್ನಾದ್ ಸರ್ ಕೋಪ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬಿಟ್ರು. ಅವ್ರು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಈ ದುಡ್ಡು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ಶಿವ, ನೀನು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ನನ್ನ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಸೊ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
Having lost his mother Seenat Bibi very early on in life, he grew up to be a man who devoted his life and everything he achieved to the betterment of society. Such selfless dedication is a rare and extraordinary gift to the world.
I never spent a single money upon him. He himself has done all these things, and he used to send me money while he was studying in Oxford also. Out of his pocket money which he receives from the scholarship, he used to send me money. ആരെന്ത് ചോദിച്ചാലും ശരി, എവിടെ വേദനിക്കുന്ന ഇത് കണ്ടാലും ശരി, ആ സഹായം ചെയ്യുന്നവർ മെൻ്റായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു നല്ല മദർ. ആ മദറിൻ്റെ അതേ സ്വഭാവം തന്നെയാണ് he inherited from her. Demise of his mother, I used to take his advice on personal matters as well as on family matters. If he says no, I won't do anything further. Overtaking his in such a way, he was one of my mentor and advisor. Not as our relationship after my age, after 45 of my age, our relationship was not as father and son. It is like friendships. He used to call every day. That is another interesting thing. Whenever he is there, wherever he is, he will definitely call me once in a day and ask me what to do. He is called, I cannot explain how he calls me. While I take the telephone, he will call, Wapa, they believe. I believe every time I used to hear that call. Even now, while I am speaking to you also. ഇത്രയും വലിയൊരു മനുഷ്യനായിരുന്നു എൻ്റെ മകൻ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം ഞാൻ മരിച്ചതിന് ശേഷമാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. ഈ നാട്ടുകാർക്കും അറിയത്തില്ല. അതാണ് വേറൊരു ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ്.
A life gone too soon, a loss deeply felt. Shamnad's absence has left a profound void not only in the lives of his family, including his father, younger brothers and sister, but also in the hearts of every student and individual his work touched. His impact was never just about tangible achievements. It was a force far greater than words can express.
One of his well-wisher is Shahina Mola IAS. She was the district collector in Kollam. She called me and told that, where is Shamnad? I told him that he is in Chikkamangaluru. No, I called him so many times, but he is not responding. I told him that he is going to Chikkamangaluru, he will not take the telephone. No. He will, if I call him, whatever, he will send me messages if he is busy or if he is something like that. So he just inquired, where is he now? Then I called my younger son, Nihas. Nihasine വിളിച്ചു. ഇവിടെ ഇങ്ങനെ ഷംനാദ് എവിടെയാണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ ഷംനാദ് ഈസ് ദർ ഇൻ ചെക്കമംഗലൂർ. അത് എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണല്ലോ അപ്പോൾ പോയത്. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ ടെലിഫോൺ എടുക്കുന്നില്ലല്ലോ. അത് ഷംനാദൊക്കെ ഞാൻ 2-3 ദിവസം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ടെലിഫോൺ എടുക്കും അവിടെ പോയാൽ. ഇത് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞൊരു കാര്യം ചെയ്യും, നീ ഒന്ന് വിളിച്ചു നോക്ക് എവിടെയാണെന്നുള്ള എങ്ങനെയാണെന്നുള്ള അറിയുമെന്ന് വിളിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ പലരും വിളിച്ചിട്ട് കിട്ടുന്നില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അങ്ങനെ അവൻ പറഞ്ഞ എന്നാൽ ഒരു കാര്യം ഞാൻ വിളിച്ചു നോക്കിയിട്ട് അവൻ എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് വിളിച്ചിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ അത് ടെലിഫോൺ എടുക്കുന്നില്ല. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞൊരു കാര്യം, അപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് പറഞ്ഞ് ഞാൻ ഒരു മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, റിപ്ലൈ വരുമെന്ന് നോക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു. മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചിട്ട് റിപ്ലൈ ഇല്ല. അങ്ങനെ വന്നപ്പോൾ അവൻ പറഞ്ഞു, അപ്പോൾ സംതിങ് റോങ് സംഭവം. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞൊരു കാര്യം ചെയ്ത് നേരെ അങ്ങ് ബാംഗ്ലൂരിൽ പോകാൻ ഞാൻ അങ്ങോട്ട് വന്നേളാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ഞാൻ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തു. അങ്ങനെ 8-ാം തീയതി അവിടെ ചെല്ലുമ്പോഴാണ് ബാക്കിയുള്ള സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് അറിയാമല്ലോ എങ്ങനെയാണ്. അതാണ് ആ ട്രാജിക് എൻഡ്.
We had just finished Professor Basheer's funeral, and I was discussing with Shishira sir that what to do with this old couple, like how to support them and all. Immediately I got a call from the slum, and I heard that this old man has left us. So this incident was really very shocking for both of us, because few minutes ago this funeral we attended, and now this man has passed away. So we really didn't know how to react.
Shamnad's legacy reaches far beyond law and academia. It lives on in every student he empowered, every policy he helped shape, and the transformative changes he brought to the legal landscape. His vision, his relentless pursuit of justice, and his unwavering commitment to fairness continue to inspire generations to come.
For those of you who are big fans of Hindi movies, and to use a cliched line, you know the standard line in Diwar, right? One of the brothers tells the other brother, mere paas gaadi hai, bungalow hai, daulat hai. To translate to the German audience, one brother tells the other that, you know, I have a car, I have a big house, I have a lot of wealth. What do you have? The other brother says, mere paas maa hai. I have my mother. And so I'd like to take the creative liberty of changing that to mere paas students hai.